How's it going, Ram fans? It's Monday night, and you know what that means. Another CTV sports show. I'm Rachel Hallam.
And I'm Ethan Bird. A full show is ahead of us. We have highlights from all of CSU's action this week.
Tom Brady earned his 7th ring yesterday.
And Down in the DMs rounds out the night. As always, all of this and more coming up next on CTV Sports. It was Border War week for both CSU Hoops teams, and we have all of the action. First up, the men on Thursday night in Laramie. Let's get into it. We've got a double team on Ike down low, which leads to the turnover to Isaiah Stevens to Kendall Moore for the transition 3 splash, and they are one of the deadliest teams in the nation at doing that. We got big body Roddy down low, just eating up his defender for the tough layup. Very well could have been an and one, but wasn't given to the Rams. And Tanjay says, I can do it too, David, with the tough acrobatic layup there and one to bring the Rams within one. Tie game. Thistlewood, good from deep. Rams are taking it down the stretch, but look at that tie game. Kendall Moore, he's going to drive it all by himself and hit the tough layup, but the game's not over yet. 5.8 seconds left. Marble almost turns it over, but he gets a pretty uncontested 3 there, but it just does not land, and the Rams would steal the first game of the road doubleheader, 74-72. CSU was led by David Roddy, who had 15 points and 8 rebounds, but a big part of the success was contribution from the bench. John Tanjay had 14 points and nailed all 6 of his free throws, helping the Rams to outscore the Cowboys bench 24-10 and escape with the narrow win.
And unlike last week, CSU was finally able to complete a sweep and beat the Cowboys in their second matchup in a more commanding fashion, winning 68-59. And we'll start off with PJ Bird all the way down court to David Roddy, of course, slams it down the throats of the Wyoming Cowboys. Now you have Deshaun Thomas out to John Tanjay, falling down as he takes this 3. Absolutely beautiful. Wyoming offense, you have Marble to Maldonado for 2, CSU maintaining that lead throughout the game. And last, we have Xavier Dussel, who tried to save it, but it goes right into the hands of Isaiah Stevens, who takes it himself all the way to the basket, scoring 2. CSU dominated this game, and David Roddy ended the night with yet another double-double, his 7th of the season, with 15 points and 11 rebounds, helping the Rams reach a 14-4 overall record and an 11-3 in conference play, moving to 2nd in the Mountain West behind Utah State. The Rams look to continue their momentum tomorrow night back here in Fort Collins as they take on the New Mexico Lobos in yet another doubleheader.
I'll tell you what. Nico Medved has got himself a special team. You know, there's a reason he's called, you know, the rebuild coach. That people bring in, they rebuild a program, but he's done it in 3 years. And I mean, the Rams, they've got tournament hopes.
Absolutely, and I think my favorite part about this whole thing is you talk about it, their bench is going off, and I think that makes such a big difference, especially after last week with how many turnovers they had against Boise. So it's good to see that their bench is finally making some moves for them.
Well, it really feels like John Tanjay's kind of found his spot. I mean, he went for double-digit points in the last 2 games, and he's been a huge contributor all season, hopefully continue tomorrow night. But moving on to the women's side of hoops, the Border War also made its way to Moby last week when the 12-2 Rams team took on the 8-7 Cowgirls. Now let's get on into it. Laura DeVos, final seconds of the first quarter, just gets it off, and that one's good, and that's going to keep the momentum going for the Rams early. McKenna Hofschild up top. She says, I got the moves, I got the handles, spinny, winny, and then floater. That's just good basketball right there, and that's all I have to say about that one. Well done, Hofschild. There she is again, but QB1 this time over to Ellie Bonai for the transition 3 to keep that Ram bench excited and keep the Rams out front of the Cowgirls. Hofschild, no antics this time, just straight to the rim with the and one. Doesn't matter if you're not the tallest person on the court, as long as you are the grittiest person on the court. And that's what Hofschild did. Laura DeVos gets all those defenders to come to her for the easy layup for Carly Murphy, and the Rams would clinch game 1 69-61. Laura DeVos has been the senior to really lead this team as she earned herself her 6th double-double of the season with 21 points and 11 rebounds. The Rams also shot 54.5% from deep and won their 6th game in a row for the first time in 5 seasons.
Head coach Ryan Williams and company swept their Cowboy opponents before the men's did, and they did it just as well. To start off, we're going to look at them down early, and Jamie Bonnerin does what she does best, splash, tie the game at 19 apiece. Now we have Laura DeVos, of course, forcing the shot, gets a nice bank shot for 2, and the star of the game, Hofschild, untouched as she drives to the basket for 2. DeVos, steal, drive all the way to the basket, all by herself. Nice little 2 for the Rams right there. They were struggling in the beginning, but they definitely finished the game, beating Wyoming 68-65, and the Rams left Moby Arena with an overall 14-2 record. CSU shot 41.9% from the field and 33.3% beyond the three-point line. But that's thanks to sophomore guard McKenna Hofschild, who took a commanding lead and finished the night with 22 points herself.
Well, how awesome is it is that CSU is now 5-0 against Wyoming this whole year. The first time in almost 2 decades that the Rams have gone 5-0 against the Cowboys in all sports.
Yeah, that's crazy to me to see that that's continued throughout these seasons now. I mean, you got football that did it first, and now both men's and women's get to do it in the same week. I think that's awesome, and it's also incredible to see that Wyoming has never done it before.
Exactly, and if volleyball sweeps there too, it would be a clean 7-0, and the younger cousins up north might not be too happy about that one.
No, I don't think so.
But Hofschild wasn't the only one balling out in Moby last week. CSU Volleyball finally started their season against Air Force, who they had beaten 52 times in a row entering Friday's match. And let's get right into it. The dig from Air Force goes straight to Meliodas, Sierra Zimmerman to Sasha Colombo. She just uses that Italian strength to put it where no one else is and where no one else can get it. Meliodas receives the serve. Sierra Zimmerman with the set, which is blocked, but that one handled by Air Force. But Corina Lieber with the solo block, the freshman, showing us how it's done. And here we go. Brianna Reynolds is just going to try to force that one into the corner, but that was easy to receive for Air Force. But Meliodas with the big dig. But Brianna Reynolds says, I'm just going to hit it too hard for you to return it this time. She was not playing around in that other opposite corner. She got one of her 18 kills. And Joy Harvey gets blocked by the Rams, and that's going to be 25-11 to give the Rams their third set. Sierra Zimmerman, who has the large job of replacing 3-time Conference Player of the Year Katie Oleksak, finished the night with 40 assists and 3 aces. And this year's preseason Player of the Year in the Mountain West, Brianna Reynolds, hit 32.5% from the floor with 18 digs. And with the 3-1 win, Tom Hilbert moves to a perfect 24-0 in home openers.
Well, Moby Arena saw the last of this week's action on Saturday night, but unfortunately for CSU fans, the Colorado State volleyball team finished off the week with a rare loss versus Air Force. The Rams were defeated in their second game against the Falcons, losing all 3 sets. And while CSU had more digs than the Falcons with 45 on the night, the Rams were unable to finish a set with only 35 kills as opposed to the Falcons' 43. Hoping to regain some footing, the Rams head to Reno, Nevada on Friday for another doubleheader against the Nevada Wolfpack, where they hope to move past their first loss against the Academy in over 25 years. That's insane. 25 years without a loss to Air Force, and that's just too bad that had to happen there tonight.
It was almost a tale of 2 teams, right? You know, game 1 was the CSU volleyball team that we've always known, always dominant, and always, the favorite to win the Mountain West this year. But I think that sweep, they haven't been swept in since, 2018 is what it was? I think that just shows what all those fresh new faces do. Tom Hilbert, I think it's just going to take time to get this whole unit to really work together like previous teams have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with the men's and women's basketball getting their sweeps, it was almost too perfect that if the volleyball team could have done it too, it would have been pretty insane to see.
Sometimes the sports gods don't smile too heavily upon you as much as you like. Well, now that we are all caught up on CSU action for the past week, we have some exciting news regarding the Rams men's basketball team schedule for next season.
And I have my reaction to the NFL awards coming up next.